Action. Watch it. Hey, Miss Girl. Hey, Mr. Man. Happy that you're back. Happy to see you again. I'm back. You back. We back. Like a spine hoe. You already know. It's me. It's your girl, P, your favorite bitch and your favorite witch. And today we want to talk about a little bit more about that second part. About, you know, my witchcraftness or my witchery. My witchness. Whatever you want to call it. Welcome to this week's episode of Postscript. Yes, I am a day late in posting this just because yesterday I had a lot of shit going on. I don't know how y'all do stuff after work because I can't do that. I went to one little store and that just threw off my whole routine. That's why I'm starting to think I gotta touch that tism in me because something don't go right. The whole day is trash now. But thank God it happened at the end of my day. But I had to run the Audi real quick. But I ain't even coming here to tell y'all all of that. Anyhow, let's get into the episode. All right, our first segment today is going to be left with best. Yesterday was Jimmy Carter's birthday. He used to be one of the presidents. I don't know which number because I don't really know that much about like that kind of history and stuff. But I saw a tweet yesterday. He turned 100 yesterday, and they was posting pictures of him because they had like some what they call them, fighter jets fly over his house or whatever to like, you know, commemorate his birthday and shit. So somebody posted a picture of him watching the Jets. It said, I'm sure Jimmy Carter is dead in this picture as he celebrates his 100th birthday. And he's still like, y'all get invited. I cannot. Like, that is so funny to me. Okay, for our next segment this week, it's going to be Conscious Cunt. I honestly don't think it's never going to be a week we don't have a Conscious Cunt segment. Just because I always be learning some shit that I just really got to, like, tell y'all. So I first want to start off by saying that yesterday was my grandfather's 81st birthday. So I'm, you know, sending and wishing a very heavenly happy birthday to Pops. Miss you so much. Love you so much. Yesterday was his birthday. And, you know, yesterday I went to the altar and, you know, I do what you do at the altar. I prayed and, you know, just gave thanks and just really poured back into him to just show him, you know, that I'm very appreciative of the time we did spend together and stuff like that. I put some coffee on the altar for him. I ain't never put coffee on the altar, but if you like, you know, follow spiritualists and other witches and stuff, or are familiar with like having an altar in your house for your ancestors, you know, most people will say that, you know, your ancestral spirits love coffee, liquor, and tobacco. Because if you really think about that, for the most part, our grandparents drank coffee in the morning when they went to their good government jobs. They smoked cigarettes. Probably why they still not here, no shade. And they love to have them some drink. Okay, little drink in the cup. Or watching them a little football game on Sunday. I don't know, that was just a little image I got in my head just now when I was talking about that. But, yeah. So, I had never offered coffee at the altar before. And it was instant coffee specifically because I knew that my grandfather used to drink instant coffee when I lived with him and stuff. It wasn't the brand that he would buy, but I ain't get no, like, you know, no feeling that what I offered wasn't accepted. You know what I'm saying? So that was a very different and fun new experience for me. So, you know, I lit a candle for him, put some water out. I always have water on my altar. Always have candles on my altar. But I did put some hot coffee on it for him yesterday. So, yeah, I want to talk about that. And then I also want to speak about, the air just came on, so my bad if y'all don't hear that. But I also want to speak about October is Hoodoo Heritage Month. And it's also Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Awareness Month. And both of those things just speak so deeply to me. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But I'm not super familiar with, or I can't necessarily give a definition of what it means to be a Gullah Geechee person, but I do know that I have that ancestry in me. Like something I always heard growing up. Like, for example, I remember like one of the little sayings I would always hear like, oh, girl, I know you love rice, you Geechee. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really know what that meant. Like, I didn't know that was I don't know, like a heritage to claim and to be a part of. I thought it was just something my family said. Like, for example, I also didn't know that your daddy ain't no glassmaker was a Caribbean like saying. I didn't know that. Like, I thought that was just some shit I always heard when somebody wants you to get the fuck out of the way, specifically from in front of the TV. I do know that my family, you know, has Gullah Geechee roots. I grew up going to like my great grandfather's tobacco farm and stuff in Kingstree, South Carolina. And like I remember, like, you know, seeing like tobacco leaves hanging up in the farm, and he had like 2 hunting dogs, and it was a well, and you have to like pump the water out the well, and it like smelled funny because it like came out the ground. I don't know. He had like walnut trees, blueberry bushes, like all that kind of stuff. It was like this little swing. I used to swing on all the time, and I would just like walk around barefoot just in the yard. It was a big gate. It was dirt road, no neighbor that you could like see. They was down the street. You could see their mailbox, but like not like you could see their house for real. But I wish I could go back to my great grandfather's house so bad, but I don't really have like connections with that part of my family. But that's a whole nother story. One day I'm gonna get into my family dynamic so y'all can really understand how blessed I am to live the life that I have. But I just really wanted to bring awareness today. I do know that the Gullah Geechee people tied to Barbados somehow. So for a long time I thought that my Caribbean identity was solely just Barbadian. But I was like, I'm not that light. Nobody in my family is like that color. But no, and I'm not trying to be colorist or nothing like that, but I just feel like, no shade, Trini people are usually a little bit lighter. Barbadian people are usually a little bit lighter versus like a Haitian person or like a Jamaican person, but there's also like Jamaican Chinese people. But I'm gonna go on a rant. So I just really wanted to identify that it is Hoodoo Heritage Month, and it is Gullah Geechee Awareness Heritage Month as well. Shout out to Mama Rue. She is the founder of Hoodoo Heritage Month. Hoodoo is, and if I could give a little background on that, Hoodoo is just, it's a lifestyle, if I could put it simply. Shout out to Mama Rue. Hoodoo is a lifestyle, if I could put it simply. It's just being aware of the connection that we here as humans have on this physical realm, the connection that we have to the Creator, who is God, you know, to your connection to the earth, the elements, plants, and things like that. So like in the beginning of my self-discovery journey, like during COVID and stuff, I was like, oh, you're a kitchen witch, like whatever, because I just use like herbs and stuff and candles and all of that. But as I've grown more into my power, I'm starting to understand, oh no, but it's just hoodoo that you're doing. You just ain't know that that's what that was, but that's what that is. Now, I'm not saying that I'm nobody's root worker. I ain't nobody's two-headed doctor, none of that. But I very much am a conjurer, and my Ashe and my magic works, bitch. Fuck with me, you know I got it. Yeah. And then if I could just give a little connection to, like, the way that we as Black people, and, oh, another thing I want to say, and then shout out to Juju, because she always be saying this too, that hoodoo is a closed practice. Hoodoo is not something for all people. It's not something for everybody to just be like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to read up on it. I'm going to go on the internet and learn this and that and that and that. This is something that is specifically for Black people. Something that was brought over from the continent of Africa to America through chattel slavery and stuff like that. Specifically like in the Deep South and stuff like that. Like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. I'm bad with geography, so them all the states that came to my head just now when I said the South. But anyhow, did I say New Orleans? I had to say New Orleans. Or I said Louisiana, bitch. New Orleans ain't no damn state. Anyways. It's a practice that our ancestors, you know, were able to preserve, and something that they used in times of degradation, in times of just complete fucking turmoil, if I could keep it a buck. Like, I'm very attached to folklore, African American folklore, short stories, old wives' tales, all that kind of shit. I really have always been super into those, like since I was a kid. And I remember one time in 4th grade, we got to write our own, and mine was, but it had to be something about something that already exists, and you had to write a story about like how it came. And mine was about how the flamingos turned pink. I don't really remember what I wrote, but I do remember that that's what I wrote about. That was my folklore story that I had like made up. But we do stuff every day as Black people that we don't even understand where shit is rooted in or where it come from. Speaking very much to kind of how I was just saying, I know that your daddy ain't no glass maker. was a Caribbean thing. I thought that was just some shit that I used to always hear when I was in somebody's way. Get from in front of the TV. Move out of my way. I can't see. But I didn't know that was rooted in Caribbean culture until I became older. And just another example of things that we do that we don't realize are tied to these ancient traditions is, like, for example, I remember being young when I used to be around Southeast all the time. I remember I asked Iris, like, why is it shoes on the power line? Like, what is that about? Especially when I would see, like, shoes that looked like they wasn't beat up, tore down. And I remember she was like, oh, that means somebody died. Like, you know, their friend threw their shoes over the power line. And I remember I asked that question, I was real young. Like, I was probably like 5 when I asked her that. And then I remember becoming older, probably when I was probably like 8, 9 years old, being around the way. And then me and my cousins was so fucking unfazed by violence. But just because that's how we grew up, like, we were so desensitized to shit. Like, it's nuts. But, like, I remember we would go out and be like going to the court or like walking through the alley or like about to go to somebody's house, whatever, link up so we could chill, play, whatever we was doing that day. And I remember it would be like, oh, it's a new pair of shoes. Somebody else died. Like, damn, somebody else died? Like, oh, damn, them shoes wasn't there the other day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's just another way that us as black people, that we pay respects and hold space for the ones who aren't with us anymore. Another thing I can remember doing from a real young age is whenever me and my cousin would like go to the ice cream truck, or if we would go to like the CIOU, go to Tony's, get something to drink, we always would pull some out. Always. Like, for the dead people, we always would do that. Nobody never told us to do that. Nobody never told us what that meant, apart from, you know, that you're holding space for somebody that's not here no more, and something that they may not be able to enjoy with you in this physical realm, such as a drink. So you pour it into the earth. You pour it back into, you know, where their body was put into. But then nobody tells us that's what the fuck that was. We were just like, oh, pay respects. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to the dead homies. But that's called pouring libation, bitch. That's giving offering to spirit. Didn't nobody tell me that's what that was. That's just something that we do as black people. That's something that's rooted in us. And then, like, another thing I want to talk about is, like, the whole word altar, like I was talking about earlier. I have an ancestor altar in my home. I have a personal altar in my home. My personal altar has a lot of things that just are very P-coded, for lack of better terms. My ancestor altar has personal concerns of my grandmother and my grandfather on there, pictures of them. I keep candles on there, water, all that good shit, right? And I don't know what altar mean in church. I think that's the little part in the front when you go down and kneel and pray. But other than that, is that just what it means? Like, in church, when you go to the altar, you just pray? Because then they say, like, when you get married, meet me at the altar in your white dress. I don't really know what that means in church for real, but I feel like it might be the part where you go down and pray. That's like padded a little bit in churches. But I don't know. Somebody that's Christian, comment that below what that means for real in church. But I do pray at my altar every morning. You know, that's where I meditate. That's where I come clean. That's where I lay it all to rest. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, another thing just that ties into the whole altar conversation, like, you might go to like your aunt's house or something, or your grandmother's house, and they got all the obituaries, or they got the news clippings out the newspaper. I don't know if y'all grew up around old people like I grew up around old people. My grandfather used to get the paper every day. And he would look at obituaries and like see if his friends and stuff was in there. And he would like cut them out and keep them. But I don't know if y'all grew up around old people like I grew up around old people. But old people be having all the obituaries from either the actual service or they cut it out in the newspaper. They usually keep them. And they usually be in a specific little place on a table. It usually be pictures of them folks. Baby, that's the altar. Like, everything is not demonic except the devil himself, bitch. Like, I don't know. Now, is there dark magic and people who practice dark magic? Yes. Is it some motherfuckers I should have been put in the freezer, been put in the shoe? Yes. But I don't fuck around with black magic. Just because my Ashe too valuable for that. I don't even waste my time on that. But you can't catch me the fuck outside. And me beating your ass is going to take less energy than using my Ashe on you. That's how I feel personally, at least. But I'm not wasting my magic on that. I don't even fuck with that. So, yeah. And even if I could put it in like this digital age, new age shit, bitch, a lot of people, y'all know, bios be whole ass altars. Rest in peace to Lord JJ. Rest in peace to Tommy. Rest in peace to Chris. Rest in peace to JoJo. Rest in peace to Baby C. Rest in peace. Like, yeah. You paying homage to them. You holding space for them folks. Publicly. Like, that kind of sort of quasi could be looked at as like an altar. We're gonna keep it above. Y'all be having little candle emojis in there, bird emojis and shit. And then the final thing I want to talk about of how I've been doing hoodoo things for a long time, but then never knew what that was for real. I said this before in the last episode. I didn't grow up particularly being close to a religion. I used to go to church with my aunt and my uncle, but I used to go to sleep. But then when the choir would start singing, yeah, I wake that ass up. Cause I told you I just like the gospel music. We used to go to oh, it's like a fake ass black mega church in Clinton. What is it called? I don't even remember, but I know the pastor name was Pastor Cherry, and he used to live across the street from my aunt in this big ass house. You couldn't even see the house. It was just a gate, and the house was like down the street, down the driveway or something. But I know on the church, it was 2 churches they had in Merlin. I know on the church it said Jesus is Lord. And it was like burgundy on the inside and like tan on the outside. What is the name? Is it from the heart? It might be from the heart. I might have made that up, but that's what I just saw on a sign. But yeah, I used to go to church with them and stuff. I used to go to church on Christmas or New Year's to hear my grandmother sing when she was in the choir. And I don't even know if the church that I used to go to with my aunt and uncle, like, I don't know what is it called? What is the different things called? I don't know what they be called, but I know what they is. Like, you Pentecostal, you Baptist, you AME, you... What is those called? I don't know what those is called, but I don't know what kind of church that was that we was going to with my aunt and uncle. But I do know for sure that my grandmother was going to a Baptist church. What is the name of my grandmother's church? It's on Florida Avenue. What is the name of her church? Her pastor name, Pastor Kelsey. I don't even know. But they be cranking. The choir used to be cranking when I used to go to my grandmother's church. But I know that was a Baptist church. I don't know what the other stuff. What are those called though? Somebody that's Christian, comment what those is called. When you Pentecostal or you AME or you Baptist, what are those called? Comment. But like another thing that I used to do all the time, like no cap. I used to throw pennies, and I don't know, something about them was just like, these aren't for you. I can't explain it, but I will always throw pennies on the ground. But like I said, as I've gotten older and I've learned more about ATR, I understand that pennies are tied to hoodoo. That's a way that you give offering to spirit when you want protection or you want something. Or even if you go to take something, like let's just say you go and you pick some flowers, offer some pennies back to the earth. Just because, so it could be an even exchange. Everything's about checks and balances in ATR. Nothing is seen as necessarily bad or good. It's just on a spectrum. Everything's about levels. But yeah, I always will offer pennies and just throw them on the ground all the time. All the fucking time. And now, as like I said, I'm an adult and I can look back on my childhood. And it's like, how the fuck did nobody kidnap me? Wasn't nobody checking for me? I didn't have the kind of, oh, where you going? Who gonna be there? Who coming to get you? How you getting there? Call me when you get there. I didn't grow up with that young teenage childhood adolescent experience. People, they were asking me where I'm going out the door. Like, girl, relax. That was just the life I had. But I'm just like, now I did a lot of dangerous shit. Not per se on purpose or trying to find trouble, but it was just situations that I was put in that I'm just like, you are very blessed. But now I know, like, girl, you've been offering the spirit the whole time. They was watching you. They was protecting you, Mr. Girl. Yeah. I've always known I was psychic, but I didn't know that that's what that was. I was like, girl, you crazy as hell. How you been on that? Like, what? But now I feel firm enough and comfortable enough to say that I do have psychic abilities. I'm not a medium. I didn't say that, bitch. I didn't say that. But do I get downloads and flashes of information that I have no way of knowing, and then later on it gets confirmed, and I be like, damn, spirit did show me that. Yes. Oh, another thing I want to talk about too, lately my clear aliens has been turned the fuck up. Okay? Like the other day, I smelled something at work, but it was so quick I couldn't even tell you what it was, but I know I smelled something because I started to see an image. It's weird. I know it sounds fucking crazy, but I'm not making this up. And then the other day I'm sitting on my couch and I started smelling spaghetti. And I was just like, hey, yo, like, can y'all please relax? Like, this, it used to happen every once in a while. But more recently, it's been like turning then, like, you know, like I said, like, I don't do the hexing and the cursing and all that, because, bitch, I am a hex. What Earth be saying, I am the curse. Fuck with me, you know I got it. And I just want to close out this little segment talking about, you know, hoodoo and ATR and shit by saying I saw this little meme. Somebody was like, I saw it on my lifestyle page where I follow, like, you know, other black witches and stuff about, like, homesteading and all of that kind of shit. But I saw somebody post a little meme that was like, it's always black girl magic till this black girl starts actually doing fucking magic. Like, now it's demonic. Now it's this. Now, like, why it gotta be all of that? But I know why it gotta be all of that. Because them white folk did their hardest to make anything that we had existing as systems to be demonic. To be labeled as demonic. And through culture and media and TV and movies and shit, more black people have started to believe that shit. And I'm not faulting anybody, because if you don't have no perspective or understanding, what the fuck else would you know except for what's being shoved down your throat? Oh, and then another little example I do want to give, like when I said I used to just think I was a kitchen witch. I would just use herbs and stuff like cinnamon and honey and bay leaves and cloves and anise star and like cinnamon sticks. Like I burn cinnamon sticks in my house and stuff like that. I blow cinnamon into my front door every month for abundance. And sometimes you can put a little bit of salt with it too. But I don't even remember where the fuck I was going with that. But that's just more examples of how hoodoo is just a lifestyle. It's who you are. It's what you do. It's, y'all remember that little commercial? It's a verb. It's what you do. That's what I just thought about. That wraps up this week's Conscious Con. I feel like I was talking about a lot. And then another term that I recently learned regarding how I was just speaking on how, you know, the oppressors did their big one to make sure that anything that we created and already had existing within us when they brought us over here, they labeled that shit as demonic. Those, and then how a lot of people be like, oh, you calling demons and you worshiping the devil and all, like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that Christian psychosis shit that just make people just think that anything that's not what they say it is as far as religion and belief and all of that, those are direct effects of post-traumatic slavery disorder. Look it up. Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about, I don't know, I have no recollection, no rhyme or reason why Spirit wants me to talk about this, but they talked about it last time and I didn't say it last time, and then it was coming back to me that I need to say this again. Take the ACEs test online. The what is it called? Adverse Childhood Experiences. That's what ACEs stands for. Bitch, I passed. Flying colors, 100%. Take the ACEs test, and that will give you more perspective on your childhood, how you can do shadow work, all of that. I don't know where that just came from, but Spirit wanted me to give y'all that, so I gave it to you. Okay, so now we're gonna get into questions that need answers. The card edition. I don't have a rhetorical question. Why I keep lying to y'all and saying I don't have shit and I do? Because I definitely do have a rhetorical question that I want to ask. It's not even a question. It's a tweet I saw yesterday and I retweeted it. But it said not to be an alarmist, but is nobody worried with how everybody is stupid as fuck? We gotta bring back critical thinkers. Like, bad. That shit is scary. And I just be like, damn, what is going on? But I know what's going on. It's just, you know, people don't practice mindfulness or give a fuck about that kind of shit. So nobody cares that the kids can't read. And that their parents probably can't read either. All they want to know is Lil Tay Tay better not be gay. Alright, let's see what Spirit wants us to ask. What is the hardest part about going to school? I'm not in school currently, but when I was in school, the hardest part about going to school was that I just could not go to school. I wasn't just a student. I had to worry about how the fuck I was going to pay bills, how the fuck I was going to put gas in my car, pay the insurance, how I'm going to pay for these books, how I'm going to pay for this motherfucking school that I'm in. If I could just go back, do it all over again, and not have the other elements of life stressing on me, I would have a whole different college experience. I would have been a part of so much more shit and so many more clubs. And bitch, I'm here to go to class, socialize a little bit, go to work, in the library, leave there, and go to my other job. But yeah, that's this week's question that need answers. I don't necessarily have a specific song, or I lie, I do have a song. I don't have a specific bar that I want to talk about, but for this week's bar, I want to give a big shout out to my girl, Michaela J. Previously known as MJ. If you aren't familiar with Michaela J is a trans woman, Afro-Latina trans woman specifically, best known for her role as Mother Blanca on the show Pose. She recently released her album 33. Girl, getting into it. Started from Why Have Had Me in a Chokehold. Those two songs started from and Why. Bops. And there's so many different like little energies on there. Like it's like some R&B like slow jam shit. It's like some club poppy dance shit on there. Like shout out to my girl MJ. You really doing it. All right, for this week's hashtag I cannot make this shit up. If you've made it this far, thank you. This is what you all have been waiting for. Then we're going to start to dive into and get into, I told y'all, we're going to talk about these houses, these signs, these planets, these modalities, all of that. And so this week we're going to talk about our first four. Astrology is very much like math, but with words. It's very equation based. It's based on the number of 12. It's 12 signs, 12 houses. And then everything else is just broken up into something that's divisible by 12. So it's either 3 of something or it's 4 of something. Bitch, you know basic math. Yeah. So for this week, I took a page out of Cleo's book. Come to find out, everybody ate. Okay, so I don't even know if y'all can see this. I don't know if it's in the camera. I don't know, but we're going to get into it. First house in astrology, as I've told you all, look up the astrology wheel. If you look up the astrology wheel, it's in a circle, and the circle, the way you read it is counterclockwise. So the first house at the bottom in like the little left-hand quadrant is house 1. The first house are connected to Aries. The sign Aries is ruled by the first house. Aries are cardinal signs. Cardinal is a modality. And Aries are fire signs. Fire is an element. So, and then I'm going to get into the other little notes that I have written on the wall too. So the first house is the house of self. It's given very much, I was about to say I am, and I didn't realize that's what I wrote down. Aries is very much a sign of I am. So for example, if you were Aries, it probably would be best for you to practice I am affirmations, because those may be the things that you would like to call into your life, or the things that you may struggle with. Okay, let's keep it moving. Aries are ruled by the planet Mars. That's all I have to say. We'll talk about planets another time, another day. As cardinal signs, cardinal being the modality, we think of cardinal signs as being the initiators. They like to start shit. Now, and I don't mean that in like a rah-rah way or in a drama way, but they're very much like, hey, let's do this. Let's get this popping. I'm about to give you something that's going to require you to make action, to take action. But if you ask them to follow through and finish that shit, they probably won't be the best at that. And that's just a little shadow side, if I could give that. And then their element is fire. So think about the elements of earth. That's like, all this is very rooted in basic knowledge. Bitch, fire is warm, it sparks, and it destroys shit if it doesn't have a container. So Aries are very magnetic people, but don't piss them off, because they will fuck you with you. Yeah. And now we're going to get on to the second house. I'm biased. It's my favorite house out of all of them, because it's the one that I align with. It's the one that I am ruled by. The second house are connected to the sign of Taurus. Taurus are fixed signs. That's the modality. I talked about this in like my very, very, very first episode when I was telling y'all about Earth's Eclectic Essentials. You can still shop EEE. Just DM me if you want something. But we are fixed signs. And I spoke to that of us being very inertia based. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're a force to be reckoned with. We have a lot of inertia that we carry. We ain't no pushover. What they be saying, I ain't no hoe. Yeah, Taurus ain't no hoe. I tell you that. Our modality is Earth. You know what the fucking Earth is. It's a planet, but not even just that. Think of physically the Earth, the ground, the soil, the plants, and all that kind of shit. We are signs who are related to things like lush. When you think of the earth is lush in things like dirt. It's lush in things like trees, for lack of better terms. Not really, but it used to be. And things like grass and shit like that. The earth don't just run out of air to breathe. I mean, it will eventually. That's why we have global warming, but not right now. You get what I'm saying? You follow my gist. You picking up what the fuck I'm putting down. We're very reliable people. We don't flake out. We don't do that kind of shit. But if I can say something on the shadow side of Tauruses, we do have very, 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 very addictive personalities. I have this little button on one of my jean jackets that says, ask me about my new hyperfixation. Because I obsess over things. I don't just like experience stuff and like it and like, no, I obsess over shit. But I know that's because I have an addictive personality. That's why I don't fuck around with what do you call them? Opioids and shit like that. Like when I got my surgery, I didn't take none of them fucking perks. I probably took one the first day. I'm lying, because I remember calling Brianna and asking her about that. But after that, no thank you. I don't fuck around with Western medicine. I just, no thank you. Don't put me down for that. The second house is the house of value. And as Tauruses, we would want to practice affirmations of I have. Focusing on gratitude and shit like that. And I will say this, once I changed my relationship with gratitude, bitch, my life changed. No cap. We are ruled by the planet Venus. That's all I have to say. Again, we'll talk about planets another day, another time. So how I said Aries are the initiators. They're like, they like to talk a good game, right? We're the doers. I don't have nothing to say to you. I'm just gonna do that shit. Very real life example. I moved to Houston, didn't tell nobody. I just showed up and was like, hey, I moved. Here go the post. And people was like, oh my God, you moved. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, we about it. In the words of Master P, one of the other greatest P's to exist on this earth. So now we're gonna move on to the third house. The third house is connected to the sign of Gemini, right? Okay. Gemini would benefit from I think affirmations or I connect affirmations, speaking to the knowledge that you have or the knowledge that you feel called or pulled to. They are mutable signs for their modality. So they are what we would call the presenter. They are the if I had it to put it into a, like, think of like hunter-gatherers. They're the people who sent out the RSVPs to make sure that everybody would show up and was able to eat. That's what third house is. And they are an air sign. We're going to talk about their element. That's given very much on y'all. I'm not about to get into that, but you can look it up. They are the problem solvers. Air signs are people who are very open-minded. They don't mind hearing other people's perspectives or point of views to see how I can now communicate the knowledge that I've learned from you, from what I already know, and maybe make this lesson and message better for somebody else. Geminis are ruled by the planet Mercury. And the third house is the house of communication. Mercury is also the planet of communication. And then like Venus is the planet of value, beauty, all that kind of shit. And Mars is the planet of action. Like I said, it all ties together, y'all. Like, I really don't be making this up. But all right, let's move on. And our final thing that we're going to talk about today is the fourth house. The fourth house is connected to the sign of Cancer. Cancers are cardinal signs. And as I said, astrology is based on the number 12. Things are either broke down into groups of 4s or groups of 3s. So the modalities, there are only 3 of them. That's why we're repeating one. So they're cardinal signs, and they like to also, like I said, they're initiators. They like to talk about it and speak of things, but maybe they aren't the person to write the plan. They are the person to brainstorm about it, but maybe they aren't the person to put it into real life, if that makes sense. Cancers are water signs. That's their element. And water signs are people who, they're very laid back and chill, but they're also very powerful people. So like, don't fuck with them either. Don't fuck with nobody if we want to keep it a buck. Like Tabitha said, if you can have a good day, don't be fucking with nobody else's. She said something like that. I've said this before, but when speaking of water signs, water needs a container or it will destroy shit, very much like fire. And then Cancers are ruled by the moon. And then another little fun fact about astrology: your rising sign determines the thing that rules your entire chart. So for example, I'm a Cancer rising. The moon rules my entire life. I'm obsessed with the fucking moon. I want to get on top of it. I want to dance naked. I want to roll around in the little craters. And then my last little thought and tidbit that I do want to give is the first 6 houses on the astrology wheel are the houses of inner standing, tying very much back to last week's episode. And then the 7th through the 12th houses, the last 6 houses are on the wheel, are tied to your outer standing. So like when I say inner standing and outer standing, the first 6 houses are is shit that's very personal, that's very you, right? Like we done talked about 4 of them. We done talked about self, we done talked about value, communication, family, and home. I don't think I said that, but the 4th house is the ruler of family and home. I also didn't say that Cancers are the kind of people who would benefit from I need or I desire affirmations, just because Cancer's biggest thing that they are concerned about is sense of security. So that's what ties to the family and home thing, like your foundation. That's very much what they're connected to. But you know, those things are very personal. They're very inner, right? So that's what the first 6 houses is about. The second set of 6 houses that make up the 12, so 7 to 12, those are the outer standing houses. So when we talk about those, we're gonna be talking about shit like work and career, and like legacy and shit like that. Shit that it's still related to you, but it's not something that's inside of you, if that makes sense. I don't even know if that makes sense, but if you slow, just say that, like I always say. Before we close out, I really just want to say thank you for all of my subscribers. The count is going up. I already know when I get the homecoming, my goal is to leave with 100 subscribers, and I already know that that's going to be very, very feasible because my family love me and I love them. Before I close out, I do want to say congratulations to Maddie, my astrology mentor, on baby number 2. She's about to have 2 under 2. Shout out to my girl. And then I also just want to say thank you to Juju, because I told you I'm listening to your pod and I'm listening to it late. And I like to start from the beginning. So I'm listening to shit from 2020 and it's real life aligning with all the shit that I want to talk about on my talk show. And just opening me up to just more knowledge, and like ties back into what I was talking about earlier, how I was talking about how I like folklore and stuff like that. And when you was talking about like Anansi the spider, I remember my teacher in the 3rd grade told me that story. And she was something. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if she was a priestess or what, or Aberrisha or something, but she very much was something. She would come to school in a head wrap, and I remember she would wear beads. Get like, now that I think about it, Miss Jardine was very much something. I cannot remember her first name for the life of me, but if somebody could find Miss Jardine from District Heights Elementary School, let her know. Thank you. She taught me about like, what else? We talked about the Anansi the spider story. She taught me about like Queen Nefertiti, and like how, and she was the first person that ever told me that Black people was kings and queens in like Egypt and stuff like that. I don't think nobody had never said that to me or never told me about that. I understood what slavery was at a very young age based on I knew what segregation was. So I knew that something before that was a lot worse. But she was the first person that was like putting me on to, you know, like queens ruling over land, and Nefertiti, I think she was a pharaoh, like a woman pharaoh, and that wasn't like a big thing and stuff like that. But now I'm thinking back, Miss Jardine very much was something. I don't know if she was just a priestess or what, but she was something now that I think about it. So yeah, just like thank you for talking about like Gullah Jack. I never heard any Gullah specific folklore or tales or nothing like that. And again, like I told y'all, like I don't really know much about the Gullah Geechee community apart from, you know, it exists in South Carolina, and I do know that they have a very distinct look as far as the way that they look, and my grandparents look just like that, and the way that they speak is very different. Like I remember being a kid and I would ask Iris like, why don't I talk like Papa Ernest? I want to talk like Papa Ernest. And she was like, girl, you not gonna talk like him. Like that's just like, no. But I don't know who my great-grandfather's parents was, but I feel like they were not born in America, and maybe they migrated to South Carolina. So my grandfather, he very much had a Caribbean accent, but it wasn't just like regular. But now that I got older, I started to understand, like, oh no, that's a Gullah Geechee accent, and they just talk a very specific way. I cannot explain it, and they just have very prominent black features, very African features, like very wide foreheads and like flat noses. Like, I got a flat nose. Like, I don't have no bridge. Like, it's just like nothing. It's just nose. And like, I got a teacher, Dr. Walker from my college, who is from South Carolina too, and she looked like Iris. Like, I swear she looked just like Iris to me. Just look like my cousins from South Carolina and all that. Like, and she is Gullah Geechee as well. But I just want to thank Juju for, talking about that kind of stuff on her show and bringing it out to the masses and speaking about like Hydron the Conqueror, and like, I love being black. That's all I can say. That's the end of the episode, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my subscribers. Please comment somebody Christian and answer them questions. Please, I really need to know. Please, somebody answer them questions about the church stuff I was asking. Thank y'all so much. This means so much to me. Like, y'all don't really know. Like, y'all don't understand and know how therapeutic this is for me to be able to get all the shit that's in my head out and into something. You know what I'm saying? It's just so fulfilling. Like, it makes me feel happy when I do this. So thank y'all for watching. Please come back next week. We will talk about 4 more houses, 4 more planets, 4 more modalities, 4 more elements. Well, we've talked about all the elements, talked about all the modalities, but we'll talk about more signs and what they relate to and all that. Yeah. So thank y'all. That's the end of the episode. You already know how we ended, and if you don't, catch up. Hoe on mustard. Bitches be mad because they be hating, and bitches be hating because they be mad. Halloween's in 28 days.